Well, I'd like to welcome you all to tonight's Plymouth County's Wildfire Preparedness Town Hall. We really appreciate you for joining us. This town hall is being hosted by the Plymouth County Office of Emergency Services. My name is Sue McCourt, and I serve as the Fire Prevention Specialist with the Office of Emergency Services, and I will be moderating this event tonight for you. So a few housekeeping items wanted to talk about. Helping me with the Zoom platform, you'll see Ryan Tompkins, actually his name there. He's with the UC Cooperative Extension. Thanks a lot, Ryan, for joining us tonight. Tonight's town hall is scheduled for 1 hour. We're going to keep it at that because we know we value your time with this. We invite your comments and questions. If you take a look down below, there's a toolbar on your controls, and you'll see a Q&A tab. So you can pose questions there. Depending on how the flow of the presentations are going, we may and may not answer them with the speakers as they're doing their presentation or hold them till the end. So bear with us as we try to get our timing down with this. So go ahead and answer those. And this meeting is being recorded, and hopefully we'll be able to get that up for you. So tonight's town hall will help you learn more about how to be better prepared for wildfire in our county. As we enter into the active part of fire season, if you've probably seen on the news, there's a pretty large fire in Gardnerville happening right now. We hope that each of you will take some information you learned tonight and share this with your friends and family and have a plan in place for yourselves for the fire season. We're just touching on a lot of things. There's a lot of information, but we wanted to at least get this out to you. And you'll have to do a little bit more research on each topic, but we can point you a good direction on where to find it. So I'd like to introduce our speakers tonight. With us is Kevin Goss, if you want to give a wave here. Kevin Goss is our District 2 Supervisor and Chairman of the Plymouth County Board of Supervisors. Sheriff Todd Johns. He is our Plymouth County Sheriff and Director of the Plymouth County Office of Emergency Services. And with him is Carson Wingfield. He is a Special Operations Sergeant and is with OES also. Also joining us is Mitch Wilson. Mitch is the Assistant Forest Fire Management Officer with the Plymouth National Forest. And we have representing local fire, Quincy Fire Department Chief Robbie Cassou. And with us also is the CAL FIRE Lassen Modoc Unit Chief Scott Packwood. And also our Plymouth Fire Safe Council Coordinator, Hannah Heppeter. Thank you much. Leading tonight's panel is Plymouth County District Supervisor 2, Kevin Goss, with some opening remarks.
Well, welcome to our town hall tonight. I'd like to welcome all of our constituents that have chimed in tonight. This is an amazing, informative event that I think that you will all enjoy and grab a lot of good information from. We have some great panelists. Thanks to all of those panelists for coming on tonight. I've had kind of a personal experience with fire out here in North Arm and Indian Valley. It's a community-based, you're dealing with a community-based fire prevention thing. And I think we have one of the best county-wide community fire-based programs in the state. And I thank Sue McCourt, Hannah, Firewise Committee, and all of your predecessors for getting us to this point. And I really appreciate and I applaud that. Thank you so much, because we are really leading the state, I believe. Anyhow, ready, set, go. Let's talk about ready, set, go a little bit. When I was ready to go, I was ready. I had my house defensible. It was weed eated and everything. And it was, I thought I was good to go. But when I went to the go button where I needed to leave and evacuate from the Moonlight Fire, I wasn't quite prepared. So I think a lot of you guys will understand step 2 tonight. I'm talking a little fast because I'm not quite used to this whole Zoom thing. So And I appreciate Sue McCourt for doing this because I'm sure she's not exactly ready for this either. But anyhow, and the go button, making sure you have an evacuation plan in place. And you're going to learn from all of these panelists tonight some valuable information that you can take back and be ready for your wildfire coming. As I was ready for it, I thought, but I was not. And so I learned a lot of lessons over the years as becoming Plymouth County Supervisor, and Sue McCourt teaching me all of these good things. So I don't want to take up a whole bunch of time. I'd like to turn it over to the experts and on fire and evacuation. And so have at it, Sue. Let's go. It's a good thing.
Thank you, Supervisor Goss. Appreciate your remarks. Okay, next up we have Sheriff Todd Johns, our Plymouth County Sheriff and Director of OES, to speak to us about each of our preparedness from the Sheriff's Office perspective and who makes a decision when evacuation, and you're the ones who make the decision on when the evacuation happens. So welcome.
Thank you. And on behalf of the Sheriff's Office and the citizens of the county, I want to thank you and all the folks that help you every day in this endeavor with the county for keeping us safe. I want to start by sharing a personal experience with the campfire, particularly like many folks within the county. I had a mother and father-in-law that lost their home to the campfire. And like many tragedies that occur around the nation, we learn a lot from tragedy. And in that experience, one of the key factors was the fact that even after being notified, even after numerous notifications from the county, my mother and father-in-law still did not want to leave their house. And we see that, we've seen that in many, many cases, even in our county, where folks just don't want to leave. And I do believe to this day that if I hadn't called them and specifically spoken with them about what was going on, that they probably would have perished in that fire. And a lot of things that we also learned in there, just starting with my list here, I wrote a little list, is documents. It took my mother and father-in-law personally almost a year just to replace the documents that they had and that they needed. Insurance paperwork. My father-in-law didn't have his wallet when he finally left. Passports and things like that. So what we recommend is that you start with a plan, and one of those is to have documents, and the most important documents and keepsakes in one place, so that if we do give you the evacuation notice, that you can leave and have those documents with you. We also found out, and Robbie Kasu could talk about this a little bit, safes do not work. A lot of us keep our personal belongings in safes. And if you have a house fire and the fire department shows up and they put water on your house and keep the safe nice and cool, it will protect your documents. But in the campfire, the safes did not work. They failed in almost every single case because of the temperature that they were exposed to. So don't think that you're going to put your documents in a safe and that they're going to be safe necessarily. Photos and special keepsake items, it's important that you keep those with your important documents so that when you leave, you can take those with you. You will never get those back. I can tell you from personal experience, and those items are almost more important than documents are, and in a lot of cases they are. So listen to us when we come and we tell you to evacuate, and we give notice. We will give notice on Code Red, and if you haven't signed up for Code Red, I highly recommend that you do. That is one of our emergency notification systems within the county. You can sign up for the Code Red system on the county webpage or on the FireWise community webpage as well. And when we come and we give you an evacuation notice, the reason we are doing that is because we have firsthand information from usually the Forest Service, that could be CAL FIRE certainly, that there is an imminent danger to your life. and you should leave. That's the bottom line there. When you don't leave, which we found in the campfire in several cases, is that folks who chose not to leave, they put others at risk, because we were, not us particularly, but Butte County and several other agencies, including the fire departments, were actually trying to get to houses to help evacuate people that had given the notice to leave. So it's a danger to everybody involved, not just the occupants of the residence. Neighbors, if you have a close contact or a personal relationship with your neighbors, we highly recommend that you have plans in place with them. Not only plans to assist them if they're elderly or they need assistance, but also when you do evacuate, where you can meet so that you are all on the same page and know that you made it out safely. Animals, the same thing. We had a lot of residents, we know of a lot of residents in the campfire that went back into the fire to try to save their animals. And, you know, that's one of those things. We all love our animals. They're near and dear to our heart. But again, if you are out of the zone that we're evacuating, you need to stay out of the zone. If you are in them, have contingencies in place to evacuate your animals. Safe place to meet, and also the contacts for your neighbors. So again, something that we learned in the Paradise Fire is that many people were reported as missing because they just simply didn't get a hold of their relatives. So it's important that either you or your neighbors have a list of relatives to contact. And then probably another thing critically important is know your evacuation route and have an alternate evacuation route. And if there's only one route out, then you need to try to figure out a safe location within the area that you live. So for instance, again, in Paradise, there were people that couldn't get out, so they evacuated to a large Safeway parking lot where they knew that it was going to get hot, but that they weren't going to burn. And the fire engines surrounded them, and they were able to stay safe there. So within your community, your Firewise community, try to identify areas that, even though not optimal, there are potential places where you could go if your evacuation route was cut off. And I think I've spoken enough, so thank you.
All right, thank you, Sheriff Johns, appreciate that. All right, up next we have Mitch Wilson, the Assistant Fire Management Officer with the Plumas National Forest, who's going to speak to us about our fire season outlook and some other items here. All right.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Mitch Wilson. I'm the Forest Assistant Fire Management Officer here on the Plumas. I'm new, just been here since the beginning of May. So with the monthly and seasonal outlook that we have, Sue, can you put up that slide?
Yes, I can. Let me share
All
my
right.
screen here. Bear with me. There we go. Hey, it went smoothly. There we go.
All right. If you look at the map here, Northern California is all in red, and that's due to our seasonal rainy season from October 1st to on, and now we're in July. So during the season, we only produce 25% to 70% of normal precip throughout the area of Northern California with a light snowpack, as you all know. With the melt off and the weak runoff, which is winding down. The dead fuel moisture values below average for the early July. So, you know, the seasonal and annual grasses are curing out at a fast, rapid rate. They're 3,000 feet and below. So, and above the 3,000 feet to the 4,000 feet mark, the fine fuel crops are curing also. An initial attack is increasing in these areas here in July. And we're below green up, below average green up for occurring this time of year for the live fuels, being the shrubs, the chaparral that's out there in the hills. And we're warmer and drier, if you haven't noticed, here at the end of June into July. So, and then we possess lightning, a bigger threat to us this year with the large fires of July and August, and with those potential north and northeast winds being off, those offshore wind events become bigger threat for larger fires in our area of Northern California, beginning, in that September range. If you look at when we had the Walker fire last year, there in the beginning of September, just a reminder of what this area can produce for fire activity. And above normal significant fire potential, most areas feet for July and August. So, with that, the Sierra and Cascade slopes have great potential for extreme fire behavior this year due to the significant impacts of not having that precip in the months that we needed it and the snowpack. All right, Sue, you can go to the next one. So I'm going to talk about extreme fire behavior with red flag warnings and what that particular means. Explosive fire growth is likely. It's high winds, it's low relative humidities, and high temps. And the fire gets going. You have, any three of those, or any two of the three, and we have explosive fire behavior, especially with the winds and driving right through the fuels. And the spotting potential that's out there with fire, and it getting ahead of itself, and the main fire catching up to those spot fires. And we also throw in thunderstorms. We got lightning activity level, and there's 6 levels, 1 being nothing, and all the way to 6 being extreme, and that's dry lightning with very little precip. And it's abundant lightning that we can get with dry fuels and high winds. And those thunderstorms create their own winds, which is the downdrafts that come down off those cells that could push fire 360 degrees around where that fire has started and push it in any direction. So it's heads up with those thunderstorms, that abundant lightning, and limited rainfall. So with that, we have the potential with what we're looking at with the rainy season not getting the precip and snowpack that we normally get in years past.
And Mitch, is this something that our public should really be aware of when they see these? It's being put on we're seeing that on the news quite a bit more from our meteorologists, but to really keep tuned into this, is this what they should be looking at?
Yeah, we should be tuned into red flag warnings when it comes out from the newscast on the TV, which comes from NOAA Weather out of the Reno office, and they're running those models. Like it says here in the slide, particularly dangerous situation, top 5-10% of red flags, exceptional winds, super low RHs, and unusually dry fuels. And we're getting there earlier than years past, it seems, with the fires that we're getting, the starts that we're getting here on the Plumas National Forest, and what's happening down in the valley, down on the west slope of the Sierras with those grass fires, and running into the chaparral down there is creating, bigger fires at this time with the winds and things that are on it. So the red flag warnings is pay particular attention when we're watching our news and see what we can do. I heard that with these extreme behaviors, that ready, set, go, and have that in your back pocket and know what that game plan is to move forward on that. And that's being prepared. Thanks for that next slide. Most hazardous weather conditions, the timings like 3 to 10 p.m. Usually that meteorologist will sit there and say, we'll be in a red flag warning till 9, 10. It could be midnight. It depends on how high those wind gusts are and what they're predicting and how long that's going to go with those winds that we have. So that next slide. Oh, that's That's it, Sue. Sorry. And we're going to do questions at the end, Sue.
Yes, can you tell us, we had talked a bit about, we have the influx of visitors here to our area, and the fire restrictions are happening here on the Plymouth
Yeah,
National Forest?
here on the Plymouth National Forest and throughout Region 5, we've gone into fire restrictions to development campsites. So with the developed campsites, we have the fire rings and we have roads throughout it. With that, we're trying to limit our exposure to our firefighters and the public by having only the developed campsites open. You get the dispersed campsites, but those could be no fire rings, but people make fire rings and then they leave, and then it puts more added pressure and work on our patrol units, our engines, and our crews that are out there chasing small smokes when we have potential of bigger fire activity, and not paying attention to that if we have the public out in the woods recreating, which there's nothing wrong with the recreating, but it's just where it needs to be recreated at this time of year with that COVID that's going on at this time, and limited resources that could be coming down the pike as we move along in fire season.
So Mitch, would it be fair to say for some ways to help prevent fires in our all over the place is checking out for dragging chains on, if you're towing trailers,